Okay, so here's a quick video of how I got the Shopify stuff to work. So it's kind of tedious, but so this is the Shopify buy button code that you get when you go through Shopify store and have it generate the code for you. A couple key parts is these are my IDs in the HTML that I'm going to be modifying. This is straight from the buy button code. So a key setting here is that you want to turn off the iframe, and what that'll do is that'll render it in your page, which is why you'll see it when you preview, you'll see it when you preview in Unbounce, and then you'll show up in Mouseflow. If you don't do this, it won't show up in Mouseflow. So you have to turn this iframe option to false, and then these are all the options that you can come in and have the JavaScript API, Shopify's JavaScript API, actually render. This is a real struggle. What I do is I let it render the title and price, and so that it places it on the page as if there was a title and price there, and then I go in and make it so you can't see it, because I want to put unbounce text so I could eventually test it or whatever, split test it without having to go mess with Shopify. So I leave that there, and then I make it so you can't see it, and that's in the style, which I'll show you in a second. So I have 3 buttons on my page. This is the second one. It's the same. Here it's this minimal version, so I've got some different settings there. I did not mess with which of these you needed or not, but I imagine you don't need like modal product or product set stuff, because I'm not rendering that. But if you do, that's where it is. This is the third one because I have 3 buttons on my page, and it's the same deal. This will render to CSS that will then style your what's written into the HTML DOM. Okay, so now here, let me show you where the magic happens. So first of all, what I do is what this does, this says when the client is ready. Okay, and this is the client, this is the Shopify API client. So when that Shopify API client's loaded and ready, then it'll actually go in and write to the DOM of the Unbounce page, HTML DOM. So you have to attach to the event that after it's initialized, you go in, I'm using jQuery because that's added to the page already. I find the button, and this is actually not the button itself, but this is the div that the button lives in. So if they click anywhere near that button, which it's almost the same size as the button, so you won't get any misclicks. I then fire off my Facebook initiate checkout, and then I create the Unbounce page, the Unbounce URL, so I can hit that URL. To hit the URL to fire off the Unbounce tracking, and then I write it to the page. So what this will do is once this stuff is loaded, then it'll go in and add this stuff afterwards. If you try to do this in some other external JavaScript, it won't fire because this HTML element would not be rendered yet. So you can't attach anything to it till it's rendered yet. The only way to attach something to it is after your Shopify widget is rendered. So that's the magic. And then, like I said, what this will do, this will take the div that's around the button, and then when someone clicks that div, it'll fire off the Facebook tracking, then it'll fire off the Unbounce tracking. And then you have to do that for each button that's on your page. I have 3. So you see I'm calling it a convert for Unbounce, initiate checkout for Facebook. Then this is for the third one. A couple other things you need to do to set up is you got to load I load the buy button script ahead of time, and then in the jQuery, I'm not sure I need to do this, but I'm doing it because this is a hodgepodge of a million things that I saw. This reads the cookie. This reads the cookie, the Unbounce cookie, and then makes sure the URL. This may be leftover code. I can't remember. So that's the work. This fires. This is the standard stuff that fires. So that's the work, and that should get you tracking. The hard part was once that was figured out. So the hard part is on your page. So when you're doing the designer, you get this huge little widget that you can't see anything on. So you don't know how it's going to render. And so you gotta, so this is my title and not the product's title. This is my price, not the product's price. And so you gotta just sit here and fiddle and try to get lined up so that when you preview it, you're getting your JavaScript. So it doesn't look right on the desktop. It looks right on mobile, so I'm still messing with it. And this part just really stinks. So, but it's only works if you leave that iframe on, then it won't show up here at all in preview, and it won't show up in Mouseflow. So you got to turn that iframe off. Otherwise, you can't record on Mouseflow. So I hope that helps. If you have any questions, I wish I would have recorded this right after I did it. And then for the style sheet, so I just took the CSS from the Shopify's buy button code, and I just pasted it in here once, so I'm not loading that stuff 3 times, one for each little button. And same with the buy button JavaScript. That's why it's loaded to the page. It's only loaded once, even though it's for 3 different elements. If you just copy the buy button code directly and put it in for every button that you have, then it's going to fetch that JavaScript 3 times and fetch that CSS 3 times. And I just found this sped up the page some. And then in here is where you go in and you make stuff invisible. But I think I hear some animals going on in the back, and we've got some goats that are about to give birth. So let me bounce. I can't find the exact one where I turned it off, but there's like an opacity setting, and you just make that 0. Don't do display none, because you want the title and the price. You want the title and the optional stuff to actually render, so it'll position. I wonder if you can hear that. So if you take off the title and if you take off the other things, then the little buy button here, when the JavaScript renders the page, it all gets shrunk way up to the top, and you can't place it. Even I tried messing with the stuff with CSS, I still couldn't get the place right. So I found it easier just to let it come in with the title and let it come with its own price and stuff, and then just hide it. So the HTML is there, and I'm just hiding it, letting it render, but just so you can't see it. Okay, hope that helps.